What? Transformers: The Last Knight is the 5th installment of the Transformers franchise and is yet again directed by Michael Bay, and it stars Mark Wahlberg, Laura Haddock, Isabella Moner, Josh Duhamel, and the one and only Anthony Hopkins. Now, this review is going to remain completely spoiler-free. The movie technically comes out today, so I am not going to spoil anything, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, you are safe here. Transformers: The Last Knight takes place roughly a couple weeks, months, or years, it's not really made clear, after the events of Age of Extinction, where Optimus Prime leaves to go find his creators, and Mark Wahlberg's character, Cade Yeager, is taking care of all the other Autobots on Earth, and, you know, he's basically like witness protection program type of thing for the Autobots. Optimus finds his planet of Cybertron, it's dead, and his creator, Quintessa, is there, and she basically tells him that he is responsible for destroying Cybertron, and she controls him, and he's sent back to Earth because there's an artifact there that can save Cybertron. Now I'm going to start off with what I liked about the movie, because there's a lot more that I didn't like about the movie, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But what I liked about this is they included the best aspect of any Transformers movie in this movie. And that is the fact that the Transformers, the Autobots, and Decepticons actually interact with each other and humans. They actually are given more lines. They actually kind of do something in this movie, and that was very refreshing. You know, seeing the Autobots on screen not having to fight each other while they're on screen like they did in Age of Extinction. Sure, they come close to fighting, or they do a little bit too much action-y explosion stuff when they're on screen for no apparent reason, just because it's Michael Bay, he's got to have explosions just because there's a Transformer on screen. For the most part, when they're on screen and they're not fighting, it's actually pretty enjoyable. I liked those scenes. I wanted more of them. And this movie has the most Transformer interaction with other Transformers and people. We even get Decepticons interacting with humans and each other. And that was very fun. I enjoyed that part of it. Getting to see Megatron talking to other Decepticons more than just Starscream was actually really good. And of course, the action in this movie is incredible. The CGI is also incredible. I mean, ILM always delivers. The CGI is better in this movie than in the last one. And that is something to be proud of, because they went from such a high in Dark of the Moon to a low in Age of Extinction to, again, a higher point in this one. Yes, there's still some like game-ish CGI in there, but for the most part, the CGI is really well done. The characters, they're okay. I appreciated some of the characters, like Isabella Moner's character. She's a really good little actress. The scenes that she's in could have been much better. They're very short, but I kind of wanted more of her character. The new character Vivian Wembley, played by Laura Haddock, she was a good addition. Anthony Hopkins, while he's mainly there for just spilling out exposition, he's still a pretty interesting character, and I like Anthony Hopkins. He's a cool guy. I mean, it's Anthony Hopkins, so yeah. And the new character Cogman, he was pretty good. For the most part, he delivers some of the best comic relief moments, and that is like a positive and a negative of this movie. About 5, maybe 10% at most of the comedic moments actually made me kind of giggle or laugh. And that's pretty sad, because only 5 or 10% of it actually made me laugh or even just smile. The rest of it, I just looked over at Karen, I'm like, really? Really? And again, without spoiling anything, there are several things that I wanted to see in this movie that I put in the last video that actually did show up, and I was happy about it until I saw the way that they were played out, and it was okay. It was just okay. So that leads me into the negatives. And there's a lot to talk about with the negatives, so I'm going to try and keep it short. But again, the things that I wanted in the movie, for the most part, were not there. Some of them were, but the way that they were handled, it was really disappointing. This movie is just a mess. You know, I can enjoy all of the other Transformers movies. This one was actually really hard to enjoy because I'm just like, what is going on here? There's way too much crammed in. You know, we were told that they had a team of writers writing out all these ideas for the Transformers movies. And I feel like Michael Bay just saw these like strips of paper on the table and took a bucket and just like, you know, let's just put all these in here and I'm just gonna pull them out every once in a while. And they're like, you know what? Let's put that in the movie at this point. Okay. Halfway through production, they're like, you know what? Let me get out another one. All right, let's put this in the movie. Let's do that. It was just such a mess. There was no... it feels like they had no idea what they were doing from the very beginning to the end. They just threw stuff in there. The editing of this movie is just horrendous. I'm an editor, okay? I know that when you have a dialogue scene, you don't cut. You don't cut every 5 or less than 5 seconds. He was cutting like every half second sometimes. It was really frustrating. And I know that during action scenes, you want to do some more cutting and because you got to make it feel faster than it actually was shot sometimes. But he does that during dialogue scenes. Michael Bay needs to really just tone it down. I felt like he just took an adrenaline shot every time he went into the editing room. And he's like, you know what? We're going to cut there and there and there and there and there and there. I love all these cuts, man. Let's do this some more. Ugh. Like I said, though, there is way too much crammed into this movie. There are scenes, entire scenes that could be cut out entirely from the movie, and the movie wouldn't change. It would be better without those scenes. It'd be shorter, that's perfectly fine, but you don't need a lot of those scenes. It's unnecessary. There are characters that could just be completely cut out of the movie. Sure, there's a part where they might add something to the story overall, but that could have been easily given to another character that's already done multiple things in the movie. There are several characters that do nothing in this movie, and it's such a shame that screen time was wasted on those characters. And some of those are Transformer characters, okay? And that is very unfortunate. So as per usual, we are introduced, well, not introduced, we're given new Autobot characters that we know nothing about. We're not even given their name that I heard. I didn't hear some names given for some of these characters. And some characters, you see them once, maybe twice, and then they're just gone. They don't add anything to the plot. It's just the designers for the movie were like, you know what, I feel like making a new character. He's going to be in it for like 2 minutes. But I'm going to spend 20 days working on the design of this character instead of spending that time devoted to developing another Autobot character that could have added something to the plot because this character might show up later. So not only are characters or scenes wasted, but plots are wasted. Ideas are wasted. Some of them are really good ideas. And they're just wasted. Just really bad. And I don't understand why they didn't just choose to be like, okay, this is what the movie's going to be about. In some of the trailers, we are given the idea, we're shown that this is going to be what the movie's about. But really only 5 minutes of the movie is dedicated to that. The rest of it's like, oh, we're not really going to talk about that. Or, you know what, that happened, but we're done with that. That's not going to come into play again. It's just that it happened, that's all. And there are some returning cast members from previous movies that I won't get too into, but if you see the movie or if you've seen it already, you know what I'm talking about. They're there just because I feel like they were hanging around out on the set and they're like, you know what? Put him in the movie. Let's just do it. You know, come on over here. Let's replace this actor that we had originally because you're a familiar face of the franchise and we're going to put you in another role. is just, why? One of the biggest negatives I have for this movie is that nothing gets resolved. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There are characters that you're like, okay, what happened to this character? Where did this character go? It's not clear. And to be told in some of the TV spots that this is the final chapter, it sure doesn't feel like the final chapter at the end of the movie. Sure, one line of dialogue feels like, okay, so this is the end of the Transformers movies. But when you think about all the stories that were just left open-ended, it's like, that can't be the end. There's so much left unfinished. You can't just end the movie there. And at the end of the movie, after the big climactic battle, it just ends. Just like Dark of the Moon, like all the other movies. They don't even go to a different location. They're just like, we're done. That's so frustrating. I hate that about these movies. Especially if this is supposed to be the last chapter of the Transformers movies, we needed a good 5 to 10 minutes explaining why it's the end, how it's the end, and why we aren't going to get another one. They just brush over it. They're like, all right, bye. Another thing, we don't get a Transformer character being the main central character and the one character that can stop everything or that needs to be found and fix everything. No, it's a human character. Surprise, surprise. It's very disappointing. You have titular characters that aren't the main characters. They're just there. And another thing, when a movie spends a lot of time, especially in the marketing, showing off this amazing title sequence, like the Avengers, you know, you got that cool logo with the A and the arrow, and then in the movie you just get the crooked letters. I was disappointed by that. In this movie we get a similar treatment. You know how we got all those cool shots of what looks like the camera pulling out through all these like tunnels? We don't get that in this movie. It's just, here's the title, there it goes. And it's really quick. It's probably that quick. Like, here's the title, read it, okay, you're gone. We're done. That's all we're gonna show you. We don't get the cool transforming logo. And that's what I didn't like about Transformers Age of Extinction, and that's what we kind of got in this one. Overall, guys, this movie is just a mess. The editing in this movie is just awful. There are action scenes that somehow feel slower than dialogue scenes because the dialogue scenes are cut so quickly that you feel like you're having an anxiety attack just watching the dialogue scenes. And it's awful. There are characters, again, that just add nothing to the plot. It's so convoluted. There's so many twists and turns that they didn't even know what they were doing, and it was hard to follow. And even some of the action scenes just didn't make sense. It was just to have an action scene. There are stories that do not get resolved. The movie overall doesn't get resolved, but there are stories that should have been resolved, and they aren't. Why? It's so stupid. Anyway, this movie, I so badly wanted to give it a B or B minus. I wanted it to be so much better than it was. And I mean, I don't think it's quite as stupid or annoying as Revenge of the Fallen, but it's only slightly better than Age of Extinction simply because of the aspects that I said I liked about it, with the Transformers interacting with people. That and the action and the CGI is the only thing that really saves this movie. So I give Transformers The Last Knight a C. And this is such a missed opportunity, especially being the last one, and Michael Bay's last Transformers movie. Going out big didn't feel like it was big, okay? It was a horribly missed opportunity, and this movie could have been so much better, but again, they just took all the ideas that they could think of and just randomly put them throughout the movie. And it didn't matter if it worked in the plot or not. They're just like, well, let's put it in there. Now, if you haven't seen the movie yet, there is a mid-credits scene, and I thought it was a pretty interesting scene. It's not played out very well, but the idea of the scene was good. My biggest negative about this post-credit scene is you never even know that the credits are rolling. It's like, oh, the movie's over. The credits are rolling. You never go to a black screen or anything. It's just from a shot to another shot, and it's like directed by Michael Bay, and it's like, whoa! Since when were the credits rolling? It's just, boom, we're done. So that is my spoiler-free review of Transformers: The Last Knight. What did you guys think of the movie? Let me know in the comment section down below, without spoiling anything, because there are some people who haven't seen the movie yet. They might be watching this review, and we don't want to ruin the experience for them if they want to go see the movie. So be respectful and don't spoil the movie. Now I'm going to be doing a spoiler review either later this weekend or early next week. And so be on the lookout for that. I'm just going to rip this movie apart. And who knows, my grade might change. I might go see it again just so I can kind of get a little bit more out of it. We'll see. I don't know if I want to waste any more money on this movie. But if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a big ol' thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can join that notification squad and be notified of when we upload new content like the spoiler review. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.